On these long distance rings like this, they go 100 yards plus, 150 yards. Some have made them, some of the long distance rings go close to 200 yards. They may have broke that record. But these, of all the boomerangs, these are kind of like the Formula One racing car compared to all the other types of boomerangs. These things are truly crafted in such a way to give them power, speed, and to be aerodynamically sound as much as possible. On these kind of rings, they're tapered all the way around the ring itself on the outside instead of just part of it. On the back side, it's tapered all the way around the ring on the inside too, and it's got a particular cut on these rings that are close to within a few thousandths of an inch of being perfect on the cut, so it cuts through the air the way it's supposed to. And even the material and the design of these rings make a big difference in how they throw and striving for that 200 meter mark. And when I talk about 200 meter or 150 meters, like one I know like this has gone 152 meters, I think, in competition, which means it goes out 152 meters and then returns 152 meters, but it has to cross like a 40-yard line from where it's thrown from to make it a acceptable throw. And so that's kind of how these work. But these, there's a lot of physics and aerodynamics that go into these more so than any other ring. And this is a G10 fiberglass here. Dave Hendricks makes these, and I've got several of his, and they throw really well. You may have to tweak them a little bit, but when you talk about angle of attack and positive or negative dihedral, it's extremely minute on these right here. Just a little bit will throw this thing out of whack. So you're probably looking at like 20 thousandths of an inch on adjusting these things. And people get real technical with them. But I'm not throwing this thing as far as I can throw it. I'm trying to see if you can still see it in the camera. I'm not sure if you can. But when you throw it all the way at full speed, like that truck up here, it'll go out. That's probably 120 yards, maybe. But anyway, when it goes out so far, it disappears, and you can't see this boomerang anymore. It just like vanishes in the sky. And then you don't know if it's coming straight back to you or if it's making a loop and coming over to the left a little bit. And when that happens, you're hoping that you see it when it comes back into view and that you see it quick enough that, you know, it doesn't come across and hit you in the face or the head or chest or anywhere else. And I've had them come over. I've had one, I lost sight of it and I didn't see it, and I went like 100 yards in front of me, and I made a grid back and forth, trying to find it. Couldn't find it. Came back to my original standing point, like where I'm at right now, and started looking behind me, and I found it behind me about 30 yards, which meant it had to come over the top of my head from where I was standing at. And I don't know how I missed it, but anyway, you don't want to find it that way when it comes back. So these can be really dangerous right here if you're not careful. But right now I'm throwing them. I can see these boomerangs right now today when I'm throwing them. I can see them go up and come back. But if I throw it as hard as I can, it'll disappear, and then I have to watch for it when it comes back in. We got a little breeze right here. Let's try this again. When you got the wind blowing here, you may throw it to the right a little bit and get it to come straight back to you. Got a little breeze. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I put a little bit of a tilt on that one, and she's coming back. Whew. Okay. Now I saw where she landed. Now this is the real problem when you're by yourself. I know that there's a car over here, and there's a tree, and there's a dark area right there, another tree. She is in line with this tree right here. I don't even know if I got my finger in the right place on this camera, but I know where she's at from where I'm standing. Okay, so I'll make a mental note of that. Okay, and so then I turn and look directly behind me. And what do I see directly behind me? I see a building over here. So I see this building. So what I'm going to have to do is remember this building and go around and go straight to this little dark area right here where I saw her fall, and make a straight line for that. If I don't find her, then I'll come over and then come back out toward me again. And if I don't find her that way, I'll go over a little bit more and come back. And then you would do that to the right side too until you find it. So now she went out I'd say at least 80, 90 yards in front of me, and then she came back, and instead of hitting the ground, I guess the wind caught her. Instead of hitting the ground, probably about 10 foot above the ground, she went back up, and then she landed way over there, which is about another 90 or 100 yards. So she went like 90 yards in front of me, and then went 90 yards behind me at least. So that's why you need a big field to throw these things in. And it's my fault because I didn't throw her flat. I threw her, instead of throwing her flat, when I released, I could tell I released her at a little bit of an angle, which would be kind of like that. And that caused her to turn. So, I mean, that was my fault. But it's going to happen because you're throwing these things as hard as you can throw them, and you're trying to throw them flat. And I'm holding the camera in my one hand, so because I can film it better with this than I can with the helmet, because the helmet you can't really tell, but I know I can look down this and see exactly where the, focus on the ring itself. But now, let me go. I got to walk 100 yards that way to get this ring and 100 yards back. But that's the joy of throwing boomerangs. But what it does on its flight pattern is very unique, and I'll show you on this box. If you're standing here and you're throwing your boomerang this way, your boomerang's going to go up here and then excel upward and then come back down. That's what's cool about them. When you throw them out, it's like an afterburner kicks in here, then it goes way up, and then it comes back down across the line. Let's see how this one does. The other thing is too, again, she went 80, 90 yards in front of me when I threw her. Let's see, when she goes out, it's like an afterburner kicks in, and then she goes straight up, not straight up vertical, but straight up and out, and goes way, way up, and then she starts coming back down like this. Now, so she went out like 80, 90 yards. Let's say she went out 90 yards with that throw. She had to come back to me, so that's 180 yards. And then she went another 100, like 120 yards behind me. So she traveled, 400 yards. So if she went out 90, that's 180 to me, then 280, 300 yards. So she traveled 300 yards in the air before she hit the ground. So that's pretty impressive when you think of it like that. But that's the nature of these kind of rings. But I love them, and I can't say enough about Dave Hendricks, who makes these. Such a super nice guy, and he really loves boomerangs. He throws all types of them. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Going way up, coming back. Whew. Close enough. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There she goes, way, way, way up. Coming right at my head. Ooh. Well, if you heard her, and she came about 10, 20, 30 feet behind me and about 8 feet to my right. So she came across the line real good. That would have been a real good throw. We go 1, 2, 3. Ah! Yep. There she goes. Here she comes. Whoa, perfect. Right across the line, about 5, 10, 15, 20 feet to my left, and about 15 feet behind me. Good throw. A little bit of wind here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa! Okay, she's going way, 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 right over my head. About 20 yards behind me, right over the top of my head. Now that's a really good throw right there. They come right over the top of your head. When I say the line, you have like a 40-yard line. It's 40 yards line that you're standing at. And so you have to throw it, and it has to go out and come back across that 40-yard line. It's marked off on each end for it to be a good throw. Another good breeze right here. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Way, way up. She went way over 100 yards, coming right over my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She came 8 yards behind me. That's a good throw. Still got a good breeze. 1, 2, 3. Going way, way, way up. Coming right at my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. She came 4 yards behind me, across the line, right over my head. That was another good throw. Like I said, I'm not trying to throw her super long, but just hope you get an idea what it looks like. 1, 2, 3. I threw her way off to, well, enough to the left. She still came across the line, but I released her a little bit of an angle, which caused her to turn more that way. What I thought about these rings here, you hold them with a pinch grip. Some people will hold them and try to put as much spin on them too as they throw them. And again, you throw them level. You throw them like that, they have a tendency to go out, make a horseshoe, turn, and you've got a line that you're going to be throwing from, like 40-yard line, so it has to come across that line. So if the wind's in front of you and you let it go flat, it should go out and come back to you. So that's a good thing there. This is G10 fiberglass. It's sharp, very sharp on the edges. This is not a kind of ring that you want to catch. Do not catch this type of ring with your hand, because the thing might cut your fingers off. Okay, literally. Because these edges are sharp right here. And this thing comes in and really fast. So these things are really dangerous. If you get hit in the face or head with them anywhere on your body, they can really do some damage. So be real careful. There are some long distance rings that if they come over the line for whatever reason, that particular design, it may come over the line and then just circle and drop down, and you can catch that. But these kind, when they coming in, they're spinning so fast. Do not try to catch it and get out of the way of it, because if you don't, this thing will put holes in you, especially this edge right here. Okay, and these edges are sharp right here, so it's almost like a sickle they use to cut grain with, and that's kind of where the design comes from, I think. So these edges are very sharp on all the way around, inside and outside. So just be real careful when you throw these kind. Like I said, don't try to catch these, especially one like this one. It's really sharp. This is the Voyager, and I have another one of, well, I've had several of Dave Hendricks rings. This is the Voyager, and I have the other one, the Milpas Reaper. Milpas Reaper. I think that's a little smaller, and that one really will disappear when you throw it. When you throw it, it just disappears because it's a little bit smaller than this one, and I mean, it just takes off, and you got to really be watching for it to come back in the sight, and hopefully you don't get hit in the process, that you actually see it. It wouldn't hurt to wear a helmet, and like a bicycle helmet or something, and some good safety glasses when you throw these rings. Okay, guys, y'all have a great day and enjoy throwing your rings.